राष्ट्रगान के साथ आयोजन का आरंभ होगा. We will commence with the national anthem. Kindly rise in its honor.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता. पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा. विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा. तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे. गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता. जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Jai Hind. Please be seated. A very good morning, everybody. Good morning. It gives me, Manasi, immense delight in extending a hearty welcome to all of you, especially the honorable guests, esteemed dignitaries, and all you invitees for this extremely special event, the listing ceremony of Life Insurance Corporation of India. BSE के इस ऐतिहासिक सभागार में उपस्थित सभी का विशेष रूप से मंच पर विराजमान सभी अतिथियों का मैं मानसी तहे दिल से स्वागत करती हूँ. We will welcome the esteemed dignitaries and distinguished guests seated on the dais with bouquets of flowers along with BSE coffee table books. Let us begin with Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey ji, Secretary, Deepam. Please accept these flowers as a token of respect. Shri Amit Agarwal, Additional Secretary, DFS. Shri M.R. Kumar, Chairperson, Life Insurance Corporation of India. Dr. Alok Pandey, Joint Secretary, Deepam. Madam Kaku Nakhate, President and Country Head, Bank of America. Shri Salil Pitare, Joint Managing Director and Co-Chief Executive Officer, Axis Capital Limited. थैंक यू आशीष सर. और अब भारतीय परंपरा के अनुसार दीप प्रज्वलित कर समारोह का उद्घाटन होगा. In keeping with the Indian tradition, the function will be inaugurated by lighting the auspicious ceremonial lamp. To do the honors, I request Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey ji, Secretary Deepam, Shri Amit Agarwal ji, Additional Secretary DFS, Shri M.R. Kumar ji, Chairperson, Life Insurance Corporation of India, Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan ji, MD and CEO BSE, Dr. Alok Pandey ji, Joint Secretary Deepam, Madam Kaku Nakhate ji, President and Country Head, Bank of America, and Shri Salil Pitare ji, Joint MD and Co-CEO, Axis Capital Limited. Deepena lokana jayati, deepastejo mayaha smritaha, chaturvarga pradodipan, tasmat deep yajet priye. This couplet in Sanskrit translates, the lamp is luminous, its radiance grants victory, its light imparts dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, that is, righteousness, prosperity, pleasure, and finally, emancipation. This is the significance of lighting a lamp, and hence, a lamp should be lit. Lamp, as we know, is also a symbol of knowledge. दीप ज्ञान का प्रतीक होता है, हम सभी जानते हैं. Moments to be treasured in the form of a group picture, please. यादगार पल हम सभी के लिए. The lamp being lit, the function being inaugurated, I request all the distinguished guests and esteemed dignitaries to please take their seats on the dais. While I call upon Madam Kaku Nakhate, President and Country Head, Bank of America, for the opening address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the management of LIC, the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, DIPAM, and bankers to the IPO, I take immense pleasure in extending a warm welcome to each one of you to the listing ceremony of LIC. For all of us today, it is a momentous occasion as Indian capital markets celebrate the listing of an institution that is trusted by millions of Indians and which is India's largest corporate ever by market cap at IPO. Thank you all for contributing to the grand success of the public offering. Despite a macro environment characterized by heightened volatility, tepid growth, global growth, inflationary concerns, hikes, Ukraine conflict, the stupendous response received by the LIC IPO is a huge testament to the incredible inherent strength of LIC's business and an affirmation of the India growth story. We at Bank of America are honored and proud to be associated with India's crown jewel, and it gives us a sense of pride to have successfully partnered with LIC and DIPAM for the capital markets debut. The IPO that has characterized many firsts, including it is the first insurance IPO in India with reservation for policyholders. First, India IPO with detailed articulation of the ESG story. First IPO witnessing 7.3 million applications, highest ever retail participation in the Indian IPO. Largest market cap, 77 billion at IPO, and the largest insurance sector IPO globally in the last 4 years. Today, as you all know, LIC is the largest life insurer in India with a market share of 63.2% in the Indian life insurance market, based on new business premium FY22. Globally, LIC is the 5th largest life insurance by gross premium and 10th largest by total assets. Mr. M.R. Kumarji is a true veteran in the Indian life insurance industry, having been associated with LIC for close to 39 years, joining straight as a direct recruit officer in 1983. Under his able leadership, LIC has brought many innovations to the Indian life insurance sector and has maintained its undisputed leadership despite competition from the private sector. On behalf of Bank of America as well as all the bankers to the IPO, I would also like to convey our sincere thanks to Mr. Tuhin Kant Pandeyji and Mr. Alok Pandeyji from DPAM for their leadership in this IPO and giving us all an opportunity to be part of this prestigious transaction. Now, I'd like to highlight the 6 points on LIC that resonated well with investors during the roadshow. First, LIC is synonymous with life insurance in India and is a trusted brand amongst Indian households. Globally, LIC is the 3rd strongest and the 10th most valuable global insurance brand in 2021. Number 2, India's life insurance market is almost the most attractive market globally, characterized by the strong growth due to our massive demographics and a huge underpenetration of 3.2% in calendar 20, which lends itself to multi-decadal runway for growth, 20% CAGR over the next 5 years. Number 3, LIC is an undisputed leader in India, commanding 63.2% market share on new business premium FY22 and 5th largest globally. What is more interesting is LIC clearly has unmatched policyholder base and has issued 28 crore individual policies till December 2021. In fact, for FY21, LIC issued 2.1 crore policies, accounting for 75% of the industry policies. LIC has a cross-cyclical product mix with a comprehensive product portfolio catering to diverse consumer needs across their life cycle. Number 5, LIC boasts of an unparalleled omni-channel distribution network covering 91% of the districts in India, vis-a-vis 80% for the entire private sector combined. 135 lakh LIC agents, constituting approximately 55% of the industry, are integral to LIC's success. Number 6, and the last but most important, LIC has a strong investment and financial track record. It is the largest asset manager in India with AUM, which is 1.1 times whole AUM of the total mutual fund industry. It's an established track record of robust financial performance and profitable growth, coupled with a strong risk management framework and prudent investment approach. No wonder investors responded enthusiastically to LIC's unique combination of strong growth momentum based on its humongous scale, all-pervasive omni-channel distribution network, and profitability. Despite being such a large issuance, and given the tough macro environment, the IPO was oversubscribed 2.95 times, which is remarkable reinforcement of LIC's connect with millions of Indians. As LIC begins its journey today as a listed entity, I take this opportunity to wish Mr. Kumarji and the LIC management team all the very best. I'm sure they'll continue to set new benchmarks in value creation for the current and future shareholders of the corporation in years to come. I'd now like to invite Mr. Tuhin Kant Pandeyji, Secretary, DPAM, to share his perspective on the special occasion. Thank you very much.
Shri M.R. Kumar, Chairperson, Life Insurance Corporation of India. Shri Amit Agarwal, my colleague, Additional Secretary, Department of Financial Services. Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhanji, Chairman, of Bombay Stock Exchange, Dr. Alok Pandey, Joint Secretary Deepam, Ms. Kaku Nakate from Bank of America, Shri Salil Pitle, Joint MD and Co-CEO, Axis Capital, management of LIC, merchant bankers, and many people who have been associated with this event. Indeed, this is a momentous event. LIC IPO is in line with Honorable Prime Minister's vision. The vision to publicly list companies which have hitherto remained unlisted. And LIC has been one of that institution. In fact, it's, I think, probably 5 minutes. LIC headquarters building is only about 5 minutes from this place. And of course, it has taken 65 years to get listed in Bombay Stock Exchange. So, in nation's life, different economic events take place, conditions change. India is one of the most important emerging markets. It's one of the fastest growing, it will be one of the fastest growing economies in this decade. And LIC, of course, has been an institution since ages, known in every nook and corner of the country. And to make it listed is the true, in true sense, is to make it a, public ownership. Because government is just a custodian, but general public itself directly having a sliver of the shares in this company is a very, very important message. And it is coming after several of our banks, which are public sector banks, have got listed. LIC was the lone bastion which was still unlisted, remaining in that. And certainly, it'll do a lot of good in view of the Honorable Prime Minister's vision to make these companies, corporations, publicly listed. In line with that, Honorable Finance Minister, in her budget speech of 2021, announced the IPO of LIC, which was extremely well received. In fact, that was one of the very, very significant point of our budget announcements. And initially, there were lots of doubts and misgivings that whether this would be possible. Because in many sense, LIC was not doing things in terms of publishing an embedded value, in terms of other things which the other market players were doing. And certainly, as a legacy institution, it had a huge task of really going ahead with their books, finding out, and an enormous kind of task had to be performed. But we are grateful to Honorable Finance Minister, who gave us full support in bringing this matter out. In all matters, she stood rock solid with us, and also gave due directions to the Department of Financial Services, and here we are today. Let me just narrate a few things, few instances, how we went about preparing for this LIC IPO. There was a COVID-19 pandemic soon after the budget announcement in March 2020, but we went ahead and appointed pre-transaction advisors to prepare the corporation for the IPO, to know what it means to bring about an IPO. And I would say Deloitte and SBI CAPS did a wonderful job of really highlighting what are the key points to be addressed. Then we appointed also Milliman as reporting actuary in December 2020 to assess the embedded value of LIC. The LIC Act was amended by Parliament in April 2021 to facilitate the listing of LIC. And importantly, a special category of policyholders was introduced through the Act of Parliament in view of the legacy institution that it was, in due recognition to huge number of policyholders, virtually, LIC's policyholders, if you combine them, then it almost like more than 6 crore, that means more than 60 million policyholders, 250 million policies, because many are holding multiple policies as well. But they almost, amount to a population of a country. So then the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs on 8th of July approved the listing of shares of LIC of India on the stock market through an IPO. And corporation, LIC, implemented a new software in line with the rest of the industry to calculate its embedded value for the first time. And that itself is a very important step in terms of actually making public the actuarial valuation of value of in-force business, which embedded value is. After a very nuanced exercise, the EV of the corporation has been determined as of 30th September 2021, and going forward, EV would be available on regular intervals for the investors to see. Post the necessary statutory requirements, the consolidation of accounts that was needed, SEBI requirements that were needed, the LIC filed the DRHP on 13th of February 2022 and the RHP on 26th of April 2022. Given the unprecedented size of the IPO, special measures were taken for preparedness of the entire banking, capital markets, and payment ecosystem. A working group comprising the public sector banks and other stakeholders such as DFS, IBA, NPCI, SEBI, registrar was constituted by DIPAM. Group met several times since then to bring about infrastructure augmentation and other systemic improvements for all intermediaries. Since most of the banks have improved their system capacity 3 to 4 times and deployed trained manpower, technical declines of bed was less, and I would come to that. Some of the very, very first have been achieved by the entire team India in terms of a seamless way this IPO system functioned. A special drive was run by LIC and all the major banks to increase awareness for ESBA and PAN linkage in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, because there was a policyholder reservation as per the Act, and the policyholders were to be made aware of PAN linkage, demat accounts. And since November 2021 itself, more than 50 lakh demat accounts have been opened in the country. A longer bidding period of 6 days, including bidding on Saturday and Sunday, was allowed, and I must congratulate, our regulators, RBI, SEBI, exchanges, banks, that they facilitated in every nook and corner of the country, because we knew that if there are some shareholders, if there are people who would actually be requiring going to a branch and submit a physical form, we should facilitate them. So in terms of this, it was a 6 days which was allowed, and that is also the result is for everyone to see that we have applications coming from hitherto unheard places, rural areas, in not only Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, but many, many rural areas, many villages. People have enthusiastically participated, and I must also give my great regards to all the investors, those who have very wholeheartedly participated. 73 lakh investor applications were received from all categories other than anchor investors, and this is the highest number of record bids in the history of Indian capital market. And possibly possibly one of the largest in any IPO anywhere in the world as well. Of course, I think I'm subject to correction, but my thing is that this is one of the greatest retail participation in an IPO ever. We know about it was subscribed by all categories multiple times. We all know that policyholders was the largest category, which is 6 times, more than 6 times, which is there. We know there were hurdles which were also created, but we had some litigations which were also addressed in the course of that. We have, of course, FIIs, as we know that the context and this was there, but still I think the FII's bid also was 2,291 crore in the main book, and they also invested 555 crore in the anchor book. So despite the headwinds, they did also come in. We, maybe not this, but really it was in one sense an Atmanirbhar issue where the domestic money in India, and I think the largest IPO was, subscribed mainly domestically. And that itself, gives us a very, very optimistic view of the capital markets going forward. Despite the present headwinds, in markets you have ups and downs, we all know, but there is an underlying story beneath all these ups and downs, and that is the trend where we are going. As we have different types of generation coming who would not mind, using their mobile phone to actually make financial investments. And capital markets enable the productive capacity to be channelized. If you have to really grow as a country, we need to have very strong financial markets. We need to have very strong capital markets in order for us to, raise money for our productive enterprises. And the better they are, the more the capacity for us to grow in future, because lots and lots of new industries, new companies have to come in order to produce, to manufacture, to provide services, and so on. Well, we had 24/7 helpline, virtual war rooms, and a call center, which was run by the registrar and transfer agent, RTA, to avoid any technical glitches and offer a seamless investor experience. Now, I would just give you a few examples of, what all happened in the management of this thing. Like, millions of investors checked our web, chatbot, WhatsApp, contact center, and web forms. Response time on our RTA website was less than 10 milliseconds on share allocation day. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 milliseconds. This is something which we are setting global standards here. I mean, just imagine, anybody calling from any of the channels, and you had responded in 10 million seconds on the allotment day. That was the kind of preparation which was done by the RTA. Call centers, there were 16,500 calls. They attended to more than 6,700 calls with zero abandonment on first day after allotment. Within an hour of allotment, emails reached more than 60+ lakh customers. 35% of interaction was on WhatsApp. There were 27,000 sessions. 10 war room virtual in the RTA with all banks. 10.85 lakh first-time applicants, for which more than 7 lakhs got allotment. The only ISIN number LIC. 46% of investors from West, 44% from North and South, East 9%, and Northeast also 1%. Northeast also have participated in a big way. In terms of numbers, we know the Northeast population is smaller, but nevertheless, the applications have come in from there as well. So we had also, is an important thing is, there were two parallel things that we had to ensure, that shares being credited to more than 50 lakh investors, which were actually found to be eligible after this thing, 52.88 lakhs, and money being debited or unblocked from lakhs of accounts in 56 banks. And both have to be done simultaneously. You are allotting shares in the dematting, and then dematted shares to be allotted and money to be deblocked, because that money, our message was that money should be, released, unblocked as fast as possible. Nobody should say that in fact, in one of my interactions, one of the journalists asked in the last press conference that it has taken some 1 year for some money to come. And I said, which is the time you are talking about? Here now we are talking of milliseconds, we are talking of hours. We don't talk in terms of months and years anymore. We had 3 sponsor banks for the first time in any IPO, and they worked seamlessly. That was also a challenge, because so many people, 10 merchant bankers, 3 sponsor banks, 2 depositories, and there are so many recipient banks, 56 other banks, and everyone working as a team India, which is very important because, they may be coming under different regulators. But imagine, all of our regulators helped us, all of the team members. In fact, more than the regulators, there was a sui generis enthusiasm in these teams to really come together and said, okay, let me have these glitches. Let me put nodal officers in charge. Let me try and do it. So it's very important to say that while it is the biggest IPO, it's also technologically, one up, because that is the capacity which we have created, which for future as well, this kind of a drills which have been done, this kind of exercise which have been done will come handy for future IPOs as well. So I would say that, we had kept typically, given the size of this, 4 allotment days as a precaution, 4 days for sorting out allotment. And it was done in 2 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 hours. Well, about the IPO, much can be said about the timing and others. We have said it before. The IPO was right size considering the capital market environment, with the objective of not crowding out the capital and monetary supply given the current environment constraint. And this was right sequencing, structuring and sizing the deal appropriately, and finally selecting the optimal market window. We have brought LIC, the government has brought LIC into the listed space in line with Honorable Prime Minister's commitment. And if you can see that where we have during the COVID time, we had IRFC got listed, Mazgaon Dockyards got listed, Railtel got listed, and this is the 4th one, the biggest one, the LIC got listed. We are all working within, it is what is called a new thing which we say constraint optimization. Because I don't think that, we can always keep on talking about constraints. We got to perform under constraints. And we got to finding out ways how to do it. Most of the time we were doing through virtual conferences, so many meetings, so many things. Even the merchant bankers were appointed through a RFP process, through, virtual processes. All of that had to be adopted. The investor road shows virtually had to be done virtually. Couldn't really go out and all that. And so many investor shows, road shows had to be conducted, and merchant bankers rose phenomenally in order to reach out to as many people as possible. And if you just say that this is the 3rd largest IPO globally in the year till date, the aggregate IPOs in Europe, ITD was less than $3 billion. I'm talking the entire Europe, entire aggregate IPOs in the year till date was less than $3 billion. So this is the size of this thing which has been done in India. We should be all proud that we have been able to get to a point where LIC is getting listed today. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience.
Thank you, Pandeyji, for sharing your thoughts with this August gathering this morning. And now I will invite Shri M.R. Kumar, Chairperson, Life Insurance Corporation of India, to address this audience on this extremely special and equally joyous occasion.
Dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for all of you for being here today. I think Secretary Deepam has taken you through the entire process of how the announcement by FM was made and the trials and tribulations that we went through to make it happen. I think it would be my duty to thank every one of those who helped us make it happen. It's an historic day for us, for all LICians, for the Government of India. As Mr. Pandey rightly said, one of the biggest IPOs in the country. And all of us at LIC are very proud to be part of this event. It has been a very exciting journey. And today's listing ceremony is, what shall I say, a culmination of all the hard work that has gone into making it happen. As Mr. Pandey rightly said, it's an Atmanirbhar moment. It's also an India moment. I would add it's an LIC moment as well. When I look back, I can think of every single person who really helped shape the entire IPO process to reach today. But due to paucity of time, it would be extremely difficult to name each one of them, but I'm trying my best to do justice. Let me start by thanking our Secretary DFS, Mr. Sanjay Malhotra, and Mr. Devashish Panda, ex-Secretary DFS, who were very part of this historic journey for us. Sri Amit Agarwal ji, Additional Secretary, who is present on the dais, thanks to him too. I would like to thank Mr. Tuinkanta Pandey, Secretary Deepam, Dr. Alok Pandey, Joint Secretary, Mr. Rahul Jain, Director, and all other officials of Deepam, who gave us the strength and the support and made us understand that this is something that we can really do before we got into the act of actually doing it. Let me also thank the merchant bankers, starting with Madam here, who made opening address. In particular, I would like to thank Mr. Abhijit, ED and Co-Head Equity Corporate Finance from Kotak Mahindra. They were the lead bankers to the issue. My sincere thanks to the other 9 book running lead managers, merchant bankers, Nomura Financial Advisory Securities, JM Financial Limited, ICICI Securities, Goldman Sachs India, JP Morgan, Bank of America Securities India, Citigroup Global Markets, Axis Capital, and SBI Capital Markets Limited. I would like to thank the reporting actuaries, Milliman, and in particular Mr. Hirak Basu, partner, and Mr. Philip Jackson, partner. Let's put our hands together for these gentlemen. While Milliman was the reporting actuary, the implementation advisors were Ernst & Young, and I wish to thank Mr. Rajesh Dalmia and his team. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Dalmia. Let me also thank Mr. Srikanth Nadella, CEO, K-Fintech. I can see a lot of K-Fintech people around here, the registrar and transfer agents and their teams. I would like to thank our legal counsel, led by Mr. Yash Asher, partner, and his team from Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas. I would also like to thank Mr. Jamie Benson from DMS, who also helped us in the legal process. I thank Batley Boy and Purohit, led by Mr. Parag Agnekar, who are our IPO auditors, Mr. Rahul Joglekar from Gokhale and Sate, who are our data auditors. I thank Mr. Vivek Suchanti, CEO and team from Concept Communications, who are our media partners. Thanks also to Mrs. Ananta and company secretary. I wish to thank NSDL, CDSL, National Stock Exchange, Mr. Ashish Chauhan of Bombay Stock Exchange. I would like to place on record our heartfelt gratitude to our consultant, Mr. Arjit Basu, who helped us during the initial part of the process. I also thank members of the board and my team from LIC, all the managing directors and executive directors present here, and to every LICian who has made a meaningful contribution in the true spirit and tradition unique to LIC of India. I must also mention good words for my LIC IPO team, who worked very hard, relentlessly, to make this happen today. I would be failing in my duty if I do not thank the investors, particularly our esteemed policyholders. 6 times is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. And they have been our strength and support since 1956. Let me also thank all the other investors who have pitched in and made it happen. I look forward to your continued support as we forge ahead as a listed entity. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Kumarji. And now I request Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, BSE, for his address.
Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey, Secretary Deepam, Shri Amit Agarwal, Additional Secretary, Department of Financial Services, Shri M.R. Kumar, Chairperson, Life Insurance Corporation of India, Dr. Alok Pandey, Joint Secretary Deepam, Srimati Kaku Nakhate, Bank of America Securities, Shri Salil Pitle, Joint MD and Co-CEO, Axis Capital. Good morning to all of you present here at the BSE's International Convention Center as we celebrate the equities listing of Life Insurance Corporation of India, which holds a unique place in independent India's public consciousness, selling policies across pretty much every nook and corners of India. It is an honor for BSE that LIC's maiden offer is getting listed on the BSE. And in this historic convention hall where stockbrokers used to trade using hand signals. Our association with LIC India goes back more than 15 years, when the LIC became one of the first shareholders of the demutualized BSE entity and is the single largest shareholder of BSE today. We are proud to renew this partnership with today's listing of LIC on the BSE platform. At the outset, I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, under whose guidance the government undertook its comprehensive policy for disinvestment by re-questioning the administrative arm as the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, DIPAM. In a short span of time, DIPAM, under the leadership of Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, has completed the landmark privatization of Air India and now the public listing of LIC India, two of the most complex disinvestment initiatives thought to be an impossible task. My heartiest congratulations to the Finance Ministry, DIPAM, Department of Financial Services, and everyone else involved from the Government of India for the successful public listing of LIC India. We are all well aware of the importance of this gigantic institution and how it has contributed to the growth of this nation. Congratulations to everyone. Give them a big hand. LIC's sheer size makes it systemically important company for India. At over rupees 36.7 lakh crore, its asset base is bigger than the GDP of several countries. And with nearly 28 crore policies in force, it manages 4 times more policies than the entire population of the UK. LIC policies numbers are larger than population of all countries other than the top 3, that is China, India, and US. I'm also happy to note that LIC's equity investments in listed companies represent 4% of the total market capitalization of the BSE. In my opinion, LIC is the largest ever IPO listed on BSE's 147 years history. And it is also the world's largest IPO in terms of number of applications ever received, with 73.31 lakh applications received. Sir, we want to assure you and the Ministry of Finance, Deepam, and everyone else that BSE will do everything possible for participating in the disinvestment process of Government of India. BSE has facilitated the growth of the Indian corporate sector by providing an efficient and capital raising platform and supported the initiatives launched by the Government of India, including the disinvestment program via initial public offer for unlisted companies, offer for sale, buyback, and launch of 2 exchange-traded funds of central public sector enterprises. Since December 2021, more than 1.7 crore new investor accounts have been opened only on BSE, most probably for LIC IPO in anticipation of that. Till date, the total amount garnered by Government of India through various disinvestment programs via the BSE platform is over rupees 1.45 lakh crores, or 52% of total funds raised since financial year 2012. BSE puts forward a strong and robust platform with over 10.5 crore or 105 million investor accounts and 63 million unique PAN investor accounts to trade in a highly secured and reliable environment that offers enhanced liquidity, diversity of participants, innovative technology, and trustworthy clearing services. I congratulate once again the management of LIC India under the dynamic leadership of Shri Kumar, all the merchant bankers, Kotak Mahindra, Axis Capital, BOFS Securities, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, ICICI Securities, JM Financial, JP Morgan, Nomura, and SBI Capital, and everyone else involved with this issue for a successful listing as they forge forward in the business. I'm sure the listing of LIC India, supplemented by the further disinvestment initiatives and other strategic policy reforms, will keep the government's achievement of disinvestment-related targets on track. In this regard, BSE looks forward to continue being the Government of India's preferred fundraising partner. I extend my best wishes to the entire team of LIC India and once again welcome them on the main board of BSE. We have also made a special announcement today that LIC, on the first day of listing, will be part of BSE's A Group Securities. With this, I once again thank the distinguished assemblage here in this event for their august presence amongst us on this historic occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ashish sir. Time now for memento presentation. I request Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan, MD and CEO BSE, to please present a memento to Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey, Secretary Deepam. Shri Amit Agarwal, Additional Secretary, DFS. Shri M.R. Kumar, Chairperson, Life Insurance Corporation of India. Dr. Alok Pandey, Joint Secretary, Deepam. Madam Kaku Nakhate, President and Country Head, Bank of America. Shri Salil Pitare, Joint MD and Co-CEO, Axis Capital Limited. Thank you, Ashish sir. I will now request Shri M.R. Kumar, Chairperson, Life Insurance Corporation of India, to please present a memento in reciprocation to Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, BSE. I will request Mr. Kumar to please present mementos as token of gratitude to all the BRLMs, beginning with Kotak Mahindra, Abhijit Vaidya, Executive Director and Co-Head, Equity Corporate Finance. Shri Salil Pitae, Joint Managing Director and Co-Chief Executive Officer, Axis Capital. Madam Kaku Nakhate, President and Country Head, Bank of America Securities. Mr. Ravi Kapoor, Head of Banking, Capital Market and Advisory, South Asia, Citigroup. Sanjay Chatterjee, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, GS India, Goldman Sachs. Pritish Kandoi, Executive Vice President and Head, BFSI, ICICI Securities. Atul Mehra, Managing Director and Co-Chief Executive Officer, JM Financial. Madhav Kalyan, Managing Director, CEO, JP Morgan Chase Bank India, Senior Country Officer, JP Morgan India. Vikas Sharma, Executive Chairman, Nomura India. Arun Mehta, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, SBI Capital. Prashant Gupta, National Practice Head, Capital Markets, SAM. Mr. Shaintan Datta, Yash Ashar, Partner, CAM. Shrikant Nadella, Chief Executive Officer, KFIN. Raman Hangekar, Partner, Bartley Boy and Purohit. Hirak Basu, Principal and Consulting Actuary and Partner, Milliman. This is Mr. Raman Hangekar, Partner, Bartley Boy and Purohit. Mr. Hirak Basu, Principal and Consulting Actuary and Partner, Milliman is here. I call out Rohan Sajdev, Leader Consulting, Ernst & Young. Anybody from Ernst & Young? I will call out the next name. Please be in readiness. Jayant Gokhale, partner Gokhale and Sathe. We have with us Rohan Sajdev, leader consulting from EY. Jayant Gokhale, partner Gokhale and Sathe is here. I will call out the last name. Vivek Suchanti, Chairman, Managing Director, Concept Communications. देवी और सज्जनों, जिस पल का हमें इंतजार था वो करीब आ रहा है. It is 9:58. We will strike the gong exactly at 10 o'clock. The momentous time for which we all are eagerly waiting is fast approaching. All the esteemed dignitaries, honorable guests from the dais have already stepped near the gong. This will mark the official listing of Life Insurance Corporation of India. I request everybody to join me in cheering when the customary 10-second countdown will begin. We will put our hands together as the timer will strike 10 o'clock. जब 10 को 10 सेकंड बाकी होंगे, आप सभी मेरे साथ काउंटडाउन की गिनती में शामिल हो जाइएगा. तालियों की गूंज के साथ हम उस पल को सजाएंगे. All the videographers, photographers who have gathered near the gong requested to please kneel down. We have live telecast cameras right at the back of the hall. Please cooperate. I thank you for your cooperation in advance. Ladies and gentlemen, it will truly be an honor to be introduced and welcomed on this corporate ladder. As you can see, we are almost half a minute away from 10 o'clock. Yes, it is almost 30 seconds now. सभी कैमरा पर्सन्स और वीडियोग्राफर्स से गुजारिश है, आप प्लीज थोड़ा सा झुकिएगा. पीछे से लाइव टेलीकास्ट चल रहा है. आपके सहयोग की हमें अपेक्षा है. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Heartiest congratulations to the management, investors, stakeholders of Life Insurance Corporation of India on the official listing. ढेर सारी बधाई और बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं. Can we hear a resounding of claps, please? Ladies and gentlemen, kindly remain seated for a little more while. The program is not yet over. Please do not leave. I request all the esteemed dignitaries, honorable guests, to please take their seats. I will also request Mr. M.R. Kumar, Chairperson, Life Insurance Corporation of India, to please present a memento to Jamie Benson from DMS, the International Legal Council. Let us hear it loud. The vote of thanks will now be proposed by Shri Salil Pitre, Joint Managing Director and Co-Chief Executive Officer, Axis Capital.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Axis Capital and all the entire BLM team, I feel extremely honored and privileged to be standing here today on what is truly a landmark event in the history of Indian capital markets. In addition to being the largest IPO ever in India, it's created a lot of new benchmarks today. 74 lakh applicants, the highest ever. 41 lakh shareholders, the second highest for any listed company in the Bombay Stock Exchange. It's the largest divestment that the government of India has done through the capital markets route. LIC at IPO is a top 5 entity as far as market cap in India is concerned. But what really mattered most in this IPO is this is clearly an IPO of Bharat. An IPO, when it started off also with the clarity that this will end up deepening the capital markets, and it has done so by the sheer number of new participants that we've seen through the number of demat accounts that have opened in this market. It's also an IPO which signifies Atmanirbhar Bharat, as Mr. Pandey said, that clearly this is an IPO which got all the headwinds that you could have got in capital markets, but it has come out rock solid by a strong support from an entire breadth of capital market investors domestically across institutional, retail, and policyholder categories and HNIs. Clearly showcasing the fact that impossible is nothing. Clearly this wouldn't have been possible without the solid efforts of the entire team at DIPAM, led by Mr. Tuhin Pandey and Dr. Alok Pandey, and the entire LIC team, led by Mr. M.R. Kumar, and all the intermediaries associated with the IPO, whom I'd like to congratulate and thank. LIC clearly is a phenomenal story of a very, very strong brand, and I sincerely believe that after listing, the corporation will only actively capitalize on this further, capitalize on all the growth opportunities, utilize all its strength, and strive to bring higher and sustainable returns to all its shareholders. We wish the entire LIC team all the very best in this new avatar in the listed journey, and we promise that we continue to be available to provide any support and assistance that may be required. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, and on that note, we conclude this event. Thank you all for your time, participation, and for being a wonderfully lovely audience. Tea, coffee, refreshments have been arranged in the adjacent banquet hall to my left, to your right. Kindly partake the same. This is Manasi taking your leave. Have a great day ahead. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay well. देवी और सज्जनों, इसी के साथ इस आयोजन का समापन होता है। जलपान का प्रबंध बगल वाले बैंक्वेट हॉल में किया गया है। मैं मानसी आप सभी से विदा लेती हूँ। स्वस्थ रहे, सुरक्षित रहे।
कल आज और कल में देश के हर पल में, कल आज और कल में देश के हर पल में। कभी परछाई बनके, कभी विश्वास बनके, दिल में साहस का एहसास बनके, उम्मीदों को सच्चाई के रंग से सजाते हैं। मुश्किलें कोई हरदम साथ निभाते हैं। कल आज और कल में रहते हैं, देश के हर पल में रहते हैं। प्रगति के पहियों की रफ्तार बढ़ाते हैं, करोड़ों सपनों को आकार दिलाते हैं। कल आज और कल में रहते हैं, देश के हर पल में रहते हैं।
1956 से आज तक LIC हर पल आपके साथ।
The year was 1956. A young, ambitious India put its heart and soul behind a path-breaking vision to support every Indian to progress with security,